Are we live? Can everybody? All right. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today at RG Podcast. Joined with a really special and interesting guest, Mr. Rinel, the spiritual atheist, aka Justin. How are you doing, Justin? Rinel?
Doing well. Doing very well. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. All right. So actually, Justin, very first, can you tell me where you're calling out of?
I'm in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Okay. And yeah, so how long you been living there for?
About a year now.
About a year. And you're actually living here in South Korea, right?
Yes, I was.
All right. So how are you liking Vegas?
I love it so far. It's my kind of crazy.
Yeah. And what like whereabouts are you living near the Strip or what?
I live about a block away from the Strip, a block away from the Wynn
Really?
Hotel. Yeah.
Yeah. Is this the like one? Okay, so my cousin graduated. By the way, hold on, we got a question right here. We'll get to this in a minute, so we'll get back to this. But there's this place. It's like the Space Needle. It's called what's the Space Needle place? Oh, the Stratosphere.
Stratosphere, yes.
Yeah. So my cousin was going to med school, and I took him to Vegas for like congratulations, and we went to the top of the Space Needle where you can see all of Vegas, and the Strip looks amazing, right? The Strip is absolutely phenomenal, but if you look like 2 blocks away from the Strip, it's like just normal, right?
Mm. Yes, it is like a regular
Kind of,
city, except
yeah,
there's slot machines. Yeah, except there's slot machines in every supermarket, in every corner store, everywhere you go, there's a slot machine. I'm pretty sure there's
Right.
slot machines in the hospitals here.
Right.
All right.
I was just telling some of my students that actually I got married. We had a honeymoon in Las Vegas, and so we stayed at the Luxor, and we got to see Carrot Top. Man, that guy was really funny. Have you got to see any shows or anything like that since you've been there?
Not so far, but I do want to catch some magic shows when I get the chance.
Yeah, actually, go to Groupon. There's a lot of like buy one get one frees on Groupon. So
absolutely,
there's a lot of really good discounts. So, Bub, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, I can't see you, but that's probably
weird.
a good thing. Rinel, can you see
both of you?
I can see him. Yes, I can see him.
You can. I can't see. Luckily for me, the screen is completely black, so I don't have to stare at his face this whole stream. So anyway, Bub, Bub,
if we're doing a continuum of evil, I am the full-blown atheist, so that's probably helping your case, Diesel.
And Bub, where exactly are you calling out of? Did you say Buffalo?
Yeah, I'm calling out of Buffalo, New York. No, I live in Central Ohio.
Ohio.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm really close to where the derailment happened in East Palestine. Not really close, but close enough that we had acid rain last night, so my skin's a little red from that still.
Close enough to where you have like you're starting to grow a little nub for a 6 finger?
6 toe, but yeah.
Yeah. So about like a couple of hours away?
Yeah. I mean, Ohio's kind of like Germany and vice versa. Everything's a couple hours away.
Wow. Wow. That Rinel, have you gotten a chance to check out what's going on in Ohio?
No, I haven't.
Bad news bears.
Yeah, it's a pretty.
Yeah. Well, no, I heard about the derailment and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, I haven't like really investigated it, but I just know basic stuff about it.
Yeah, well, yeah, definitely try to stay safe out there, bub. That is.
My best.
I heard that they thought that the best form of action was just to light it on fire. Like I'm like,
yeah,
who thinks like that?
Yeah, well,
I mean,
I'm not a scientist in any way that actually matters, so that may have been the case. But the problem is when you put it into the air through fire and smoke, that's going to spread it across the region, and that's actually exactly what's happened. About somewhere between a quarter and half of the Midwest is now covered in.
Wow, are you serious?
Yeah, I saw a map a couple of days ago, and all of Ohio is covered, and all the outlying states are at least partially covered in the smoke from the fumes. It's all bad.
Yeah.
And it's important that derailments like this happen all the time, and unfortunately it goes unheard of.
Yeah, I mean, well, just this one just happened to have a lot of toxic chemicals. I believe, I can't remember. Is that the episode? That's like the plot line of Return of the Dead, right? Where they have the zombies, and then the zombies get animated from the same exact thing. So hopefully there's no zombies arising this time. But anyway.
I'm kidding.
Anyway, yeah, that was a bad joke. Very bad, very insensitive joke. But anyway, Rinel, if you wouldn't mind, would you mind giving us a 2-minute breakdown, nutshell of kind of like your spiritual journey where you've been on, and then we'll start to dissect it a little bit.
Well, I guess my spiritual journey is just that of one of truth. Like the seeking of truth is a spiritual journey. So I guess I'm constantly seeking truth. I guess at this point, I claim to have found the truth. And so that's what I teach, the truth that I found.
All right. And you've also written a couple of books, right?
Yes.
Mr. Bub, have you gotten a chance to, I sent you Justin's book. You got a chance to check that out at all?
Yeah, I checked out the YouTube link that you sent me. Like I forgot that things had changed, and I was like, oh God, I'm gonna be talking to a wall. So
hey, hold on. Walls actually listen pretty good. So if we're talking to a wall, then maybe
not any wall I've talked to, but hey, if you're talking to walls that listen, so much the better.
That was a joke. Yeah. All right. Okay. So where to even begin? Wow. The first book, we got to put a link to that in the description. Your website is actually in the description, and your YouTube channel. But I think that you're also on TikTok. Is that right, Justin?
I'm almost totally on TikTok.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, please. You're the guest.
Oh, yeah, no. Like most of my videos are on TikTok. I take TikTok seriously. I don't really take YouTube that seriously.
Okay, and so what exactly? Can you tell me a little bit about the content which you're producing?
I teach the truth. So I just made a video. I sent you a link. Disproving that the Christian God exists.
Okay.
I put forth an argument that it's a logical impossibility for the Christian God to exist.
You sent me a video. Comparing Christianity, I guess, to Jack and the Beanstalk. So I don't know how that disproves it, but if you can tell me how that disproves it, good.
Oh no, that's not the one I'm talking about. There's the last one I made is one showing that the Christian God, the characteristics of the Christian God, make it a illogical impossibility for it to exist. So
okay,
if I said,
good. Elaborate on that, please.
So if I said I have a God, and my God has the characteristic of being a married bachelor, then you would know that my God can't exist, because being a married bachelor is a logical impossibility by definition. So when Christians say that, so when
God's simple though, God's smart enough to not have a wife, just so you know.
Yeah, but he didn't come in a logical way. That's where he's not smart. So the way he came illogically was, well, I mean, at least the Christian, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to be offensive at all, but the Christian philosophy is impossible to be true, because God cannot be everywhere and be all good, and evil exists, and evil is the absence of good. That's a logical impossibility, because God cannot be everywhere and also not somewhere. That's a logical impossibility.
That's interesting. So, I'm sorry. Okay, so if you think of like Swiss cheese, let's say God is the goodness, God is the cheese, and the spots where evil exists, God isn't there. Is that what you're saying?
Well, what I'm saying is that you're correct in your Swiss cheese example. It's just that Christians are saying that God is a full sheet of cheese and also a cheese with holes in it, which is a logical impossibility. It can't be whole and also have holes in it. They can't be both at the same time. That's a logical impossibility.
That is interesting. I've never heard that argument before.
Beelzebub. I haven't come up before.
Beelzebub, have you ever heard that before?
Actually, I have, and I took the second that I had before you brought me in. It's Isaiah 45. I form the light and create darkness. I bring prosperity and create disaster. I, the Lord, do all these things. The long and short of it is I create good and evil. So an all good God, Rinel is correct, would not create evil. I wouldn't. And I'm not even all good.
Right.
But I'm going a step further and saying it's actually a logical impossibility. It's not logically possible. It's like being a married bachelor. God cannot be all good, and also there's evil. That's a logical impossibility. But I mean, that's just a side note. That was just my last video.
I've heard the married bachelor analogy. I'm just kind of trying to branch off, or more specifically reference the verse that you're discussing. The I create good and evil. So
hey, I don't remember saying that.
That's all I was doing.
Hey, Beelzebub, I don't remember saying that. You said Isaiah said that. I don't remember saying that.
Well, maybe you should look in your
Come
own
on, no
book,
joke.
Bible, my dude.
Don't laugh. Come on. Isaiah, hello. My name's actually Isaiah. So, okay. So,
I got it. It's all good.
Yeah. Okay. My attempt to humor. Okay. All right. A couple of things. I'm interested. No, I wonder if I don't really want to go on this issue. I mean, I would love to have an entire discussion on just this topic alone, but I do want to focus more on spirituality inside of atheism, because I did see a recent interview with you, Justin. Maybe we'll get back to this topic towards the end, because I don't think it's illogical. I don't think it's logically contradictory at all. In fact, to me, it makes actually perfect sense. But we'll get back to that in a minute. But so for now, you were recently on Neil 604's Atheist channel, and can you tell me a bit about the talk that you had on there?
I guess it was a talk about how I became an atheist, but then it kind of broke down into just different truths about the universe and the mechanics of the universe.
Okay. And
so I'm also just in case you don't know, I'm saying that I understand how the universe works. So I make truth claims about the universe.
Okay.
And so that was what's being discussed.
But you're also an atheist, you say?
Yeah. I don't appreciate being laughed at. I think that's kind of rude.
Who's laughing at you?
Well, I mean, I want to be able to speak and not be laughed at when I say certain things. So I said I do make a claim that I do understand the universe. That's a serious claim. I state my claims to be falsified. If someone can falsify them, I'm happy to concede that they're wrong. But I'm a serious person making serious claims.
I'm sorry. I can't see Beelzebub. Was he laughing? I don't know. I can't see his face.
Oh, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. I just want to make it clear that I am a serious person making serious claims. If you have some sort of logical reason why I'm wrong, then please, please just say.
I consider myself to be a serious person, although I tend to not take a lot of things seriously. But I am not someone who's going to try to make universal truth claims about the universe overall. That's yeah,
but just because you don't doesn't mean I can't. And just because you can't do it doesn't mean it's not possible to do.
But you're going to have to chuckle.
Hold on, Justin. Though this channel is, let's tone it down a little bit here, because this channel where we want to have conversations, we want to laugh, we want to not take things too seriously, because in these conversations they can tend to get heated. In fact, I released a conversation that you had with a guy by the name of Ray, and I didn't release it after 2 years because the conversation got so heated. And so we really want to avoid that in today. So if you guys can feel free to crack a joke at me. And if I can, I'm gonna crack a joke at you. So let's try to have a good time, and let's try not to, we're all trying to figure things out here. I'm a Christian. You guys are both atheists. So yeah, let's take it a little bit light, right?
Realistically, the most important thing is it's only life.
No, I agree. It didn't feel good when I say something and I'm laughed at. That's all I'm saying. I want to respect all of you. I want to be respected as well. And I just want to keep it all respectful. And I love humor and I love joking around. And I hope to have a very civil and respectful conversation.
Yeah, for the record, if I say anything and you guys laugh, then I'll be really happy, because you guys haven't laughed at my joke so far. So, yeah, I'm just throwing that out there.
So okay. Right now, Rinel's 0 for 1. Or 1
okay, so Justin, we'll interview you a little bit together right now, and then I'm going to take myself off the screen and give Bub a few minutes with you, and then I'll come back on, have a few minutes alone, and then we'll close off with some time together. Is that okay?
That's awesome.
Okay, great. So can you tell me a bit about how you go from believing in God and to not believe in God? Can you tell me what that looks like?
Well, as you know from before, I had an experience with the universe that I could only describe as God talking to me, because that's the only thing I understood at the time. But as I started understanding what was happening and what I was experiencing, this universal communication with me, I realized that using the language of God was incorrect language. And now that I explain things purely secularly and purely rationally and logically, I can deliver the message a lot more effectively than I could using God in religious language.
Yeah, I think a lot of people in general have religious trauma. I mean, even as a Christian, I did. So I was an atheist for a really long time, because inside of the realms of religion, there's a lot of abuse and a lot of making people to feel inadequate, I think. Bub, do you think that happens? Do you think that happens in religion? Because we had to talk about anti-theism, and I think that can be one of the things that could be most detrimental about religion, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I personally am not certain that I have any kind of religious trauma per se, at least not from medical standpoint or a psychological standpoint. But there are so many people that I've spoken to that do have religious trauma. I mean, there are people that I know personally who can't look at the Christian national flag, which is white field with a smaller blue field in the top left corner with a cross inside of it. That the Christian national flag. I know people who can't look at that without being triggered into thinking, oh, this trauma that happened in my life. So while I may not personally have any kind of RTS, religious trauma syndrome, that doesn't mean it's not possible, because my experience is not universal.
Right. And what about your fiance? Am I saying that correctly? Fiance? Is there a different way to pronounce it? If it?
Would you say you have religious trauma?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. They have things that are experiences that are pretty traumatic. They would probably derail the remainder of the stream. So as much as I love Alex, this is a discussion for an entirely separate stream that would take up a whole hour.
Right.
Itself.
I will gladly do that stream if that's something you guys want. Like, I don't have a problem opening up about trauma, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to be interviewing Alex.
Oh yeah.
Either this week or next week, and so we could get into that. But all right, so Rinel, so I do want to ask you, because do you find that people convert to atheism? Is it primarily for rational or like emotional reasons, in your opinion?
I guess for the most part, I mean, anyone who wants to have freedom of thought is going to leave religion. In the way that you're using the word religion.
Do you agree with that, Bob?
I mean, the majority of people that I know who have left religion started religious. So these are people who have sought the truth, and the truth did not come up that there is a God. So
go ahead.
No. I was waiting for you.
So the thing is that I actually somewhat agree with that, because I'll tell you a bit about my story real quick. That I went to Bible college, and I could genuinely say I wasn't a Christian, because I grew up in a minister's home, but I was doing it because my parents were forcing me. It's like you could put a gun to someone's head and force them to do anything you want to do, you know? And so I had to go to church like 5 times a week, you know? And so, wow. Okay. $40 pants. What the heck is this guy talking about down here? But the thing is that I wind up becoming an atheist while at Bible college. And then I wind up dropping out and going to like a secular school and learning about philosophy and things like that. And so after learning that, and then later on going back to Bible college, something definitely became clear to me, that most people at Bible college did not understand proper lines of reasoning and logic. And they even took that into like the realms of the Bible, of just being a Christian, like for instance, not being able to figure out, clearly what Jesus was saying. And so I have seen definitely that it can stunt people's growth. And if I'm being completely honest, I got to say that's one of the biggest things I would fault religions for, because if you believe that this is the ultimate truth and this is coming from God, then there's not much need to look much further than that book. So I think that can be a really dangerous line of reasoning. But all right, so what has been the welcome of other atheists who you've been talking to now, Rinel?
I'm like blowing up on TikTok, actually. I've gotten a lot of support. Yeah, I've gotten a lot of support. Like I said, my message is coherent. It's easy to understand. I can speak clearly, concisely.
Bob doesn't think so.
Okay.
You're throwing words in my mouth, man. Come on.
I'm trying to rile him up. So can you tell me what is your most viewed video, and what are the contents of it?
Well, the most viewed one was the last one I just told you, when I showed that it's a logical impossibility for the Christian God to exist. So most people say that you can't disprove that God exists, and I said that's false. You can disprove that God exists, and so I did it in that video.
Well, if I'll just respond to that really quickly. You can disprove certain characteristics of a certain God that isn't even this whole omni thing is not really extrapolated from the Bible, except for the omnipresence. That one is, because that one is clearly said that God is everywhere. But the whole omnibenevolent and omnipotent, that's not something that you would pull out from the Bible, something that was added by like philosophers. So like being omnipotent isn't even logically possible. So yeah, there's no way that God is omnipotent, because he, you know, the whole lifting, making a rock so big you can't lift it. That's a big problem. Or if you think about this, if you think, can God commit suicide? And I've had this conversation with Christians sometimes, and I'll be like, well, think about this. God can't be all powerful because he couldn't kill himself. And I said, right, God wouldn't be able to kill himself. And then they'll say something like, well, that doesn't make any sense. Why would God want to kill himself? And I said, no, I'm not talking about making sense. I'm just talking about the ability to do something. So God couldn't limit himself, or God couldn't destroy himself. So the whole omnipotence, that's something that has been created by, it's been created by basically philosophers. But at least reading the Bible, I wouldn't read it and say God can do everything and God is all good. I mean, we might say God is sufficiently good. That's a difference. There's a difference between saying all good and sufficiently good. You know.
Well, so we're in total agreement. I was saying that specific God can't exist. You're talking about a different God. And I just proved one God in that video. You're not talking about the God I just proved. So you and I are in total agreement.
Yeah. Okay, but that's interesting. And how many views do you have on that?
I think a little over 4,000 now.
Jesus, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Jesus, that's a lot of views. Okay, well, I'll tell you what, I will get back to that topic later on. But for now, I'm going to hand it over to Bub. And Bub, we can talk a little bit about spirituality as being an atheist. If you have any spiritual thoughts yourself, and if you think, here's something else you could explore. If you think that like atheists can learn anything from believers or vice versa. Okay?
Well, they just patted me on the head, so apparently there's something I can learn from someone.
I don't know. It felt right.
But I mean, well, I'm personally not a spiritual atheist. I absolutely can recognize that there are spiritual atheists out there. Rinel, Jason, you yourself literally have spiritual atheist in your name. There are non-theist or atheistic religions in the world, which means that there are atheists out there that are seeking some sort of spirituality. So while this sort of thing exists, I personally don't accept it because I don't know of any valid spiritual experience. Now that's not necessarily to discount it. I don't know really anyone outside of myself's experience. So Rinel, what do you think?
Well, to that I would say the evidence of it is so for example, if I said that I feel like a woman inside and who I am as a woman, spirituality would be accepting who I am on the inside. If you said, well, you look like a man and therefore you are a man, and that's all you are, that would be a materialistic way of looking at it. Spirituality is the opposite of materialistic. So what it means for me to be spiritual just means that I respect who people are on the inside, and I don't put value on what people are or what they own or how many cars someone has or how much money someone has. I only value what's on the inside of a person. That's what I mean by spiritual, and not materialistic, the opposite of materialistic.
Okay, so to you, trans people are experiencing some sort of spiritual disconnect? Not physical, or
no. Well, we all experience a quote unquote spiritual experience. Experience itself, what I'm calling spiritual, is just a non-material substance that exists in the universe. So the experience itself is non-material. The experience of material is not material. So when someone says who I am on the inside, I respect who they are on the inside. I don't place value on who people are on the outside or what they present themselves to be. You see what I'm saying?
So, bearing in mind the sense of self is, at least more, in my experience, more on the mental side. I experience myself as a man who is also heterosexual. So someone such as my fiance, who is assigned female at birth,
Hello, she's waving.
you would, and I don't mean to put words in your mouth, but from what I'm understanding of what you're saying, their experience of not identifying with their assigned gender at birth is spiritual.
A lot of natives believe that too.
Well, yeah. Or we're just, you and I agree. We're just using different words. I'm saying spiritual. You're saying mental. So if you want to say their mental state is different than their biological state, you could say that.
But everyone
I'm just using the words. Oh, I'm sorry. You broke up there. I couldn't hear you.
I'm sorry. I have pretty poor internet.
Okay.
But pretty much everyone else I've come across will separate mental and spiritual from each other.
I don't.
Okay. So I'm kind of curious now, because you don't separate mental and spiritual. Exactly how do you define spiritual? Because I want to be able to have a conversation on the level with you.
A non-material substance that exists in the universe. So spiritual, so like I said in the beginning, my desire to chase the truth would be what's called a spiritual journey. Me seeking truth is different than me seeking an apple or me seeking sex. Me seeking truth is a non-material quest. Okay, that non-material quest is what I'm calling spiritual. My sense of justice would be considered spiritual. That's why religions handle morality, because something being good or bad, that's a non-material decision. I would call that a spiritual reality.
So,
okay,
I'm so sorry. I really want to ask a question.
Yes.
Sorry.
So would morality, like what's right and wrong, would consider that spiritual?
Yes, that would be a spiritual question.
Okay, I'm just making sure I understand. I'm not,
No problem.
I know
Thank
I'm
you.
not technically a part of this. I'm interested in what you're saying.
My
No problem. Thank you.
follow-up is in regards to the material good of the world.
Mhm.
When it comes to justice, murder is materially not usually a good thing, which is part of why I am against the death penalty. So if we're talking about justice in the material versus spiritual sense, is justice really immaterial? Is it really totally in the realm of the spiritual? Because we're talking about separating people who violate social norms, which is all justice and morality really ever has been. It's got real world manifestations, whether for good or ill.
So, I'm sorry, please continue.
Go ahead.
No, what I'm saying is, so for example, if you wanted to find out what is just, is it just to give someone a speeding ticket for speeding, or is it just to shoot someone in the head for speeding? Which one is more just? To solve that problem of what is more just, you wouldn't go to a mathematician, you wouldn't go to a physicist, because that type of decision is not a physical question. Like the amount, like what is just and what is unjust. No, I know, but you wouldn't go to someone who deals in the physical universe. Someone who deals in the physical universe, like a physicist, you wouldn't ask the physicist for or chemist, like how to decide whether or not we should put someone in jail or give them 20 lashes. You see what I'm saying? Like which one is more just wouldn't be a question of a physical question. And that would be what I call a spiritual question, a non-physical decision that humans have to make.
It kind of does become a physical decision, because if you're talking about giving someone a bullet in the brain or 20 lashes or a speeding ticket. We're talking about a physical impact on another human's life. So it's not as metaphysical as that. We're talking about real consequences for a real person.
Yes. So I think you're maybe I'm not explaining myself properly. Yes, it has a physical outcome. Depending on what we decide the punishment is, that's going to have a very physical outcome on somebody. But the decision on what just and is unjust is not a physical decision. Like what we should do with a physical person is not a physical question. It is a question of what is just. What is just is a non-physical decision that humans have to make, unlike a mathematical decision. 1 + 1 = 2 is a different type of decision making than whether or not something is just. They both exist on two different levels of realness.
Okay, so I'm going to bring up a hypothetical situation. Say an American C-17 is shot down and it has people on board. For those, I'm not saying you, Rinel, don't know what a C-17 is, but for the people who are not fully aware of what a C-17 is, it's a cargo plane. Often carries materiel or personnel for the United States military or whoever is using it at the time. Say one of those is shot down. Is the most justified consequence, the most just consequence, bombing a sparsely populated building in the middle of the night? Or is it bombing that same building during the day when it's at full capacity?
Well, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot that would have to be. There's a lot of factors that would have to go into that decision of what you're asking me. I couldn't just make a decision based on the information that I've been given. But regardless of what is just or more just, you wouldn't ask a physicist on what to do about that problem. You wouldn't ask the chemist.
Ask a physicist. There are multiple sciences that are involved because science is a subset of philosophy, and ethicists fall under that subset.
Hold on 1 second. Please, nobody interrupting anybody. That's just the one thing. Let's let each other finish.
I was just kind of in conversation mode.
Rinel, finish your point, please, because I was interested in hearing the rest of that. Thank you.
Oh, I can't remember the point I was making that you're interested in.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
I was kind of in conversation mode.
No problem. I'm just saying, to the heart of the matter, there is a physical material realm that physicists, chemists, and people who are in the physical sciences deal with. And then there's another reality that another set of scientists deal with, or another set of people who study the matter deal with. And that's what I'm calling the spiritual matters. What is just, what is unjust? Lawyers, judges, Supreme Court justices, these people are the people who make decisions on things like what is just and more or less just. So it's a different type of science. Okay. And what I call a spiritual science, maybe.
Okay, so my point is, and you're going to probably be hard-pressed to find someone that's going to disagree with this. Science is a subset of philosophy, which is why PhD is, kind of the be-all, end-all in at least most cases. Now, when we're discussing this also has to involve ethicists, people who discuss ethical ramifications, which is a big part of ancient philosophy. Right and wrong, all of that. Now, you're trying to separate them, and while I can respect your point, I'm also going to disagree with it, because ethicists are also scientists. They just work with less hard points. They deal with the more soft points. It's still science. It's just that there's a little more debate to it.
So physicists and chemists are separated, correct? One is separated into physics and one is separated into chemistry. Correct? So people can be separated and still be within the science. So despite the fact that I'm separating it, doesn't mean I'm not calling it science, because separate sciences deal with separate things. I'm saying this branch of science right here is not the physical branch of science. It's a different branch than physicists or chemists. This is just another branch of science. So all the claims, so all the claims I'm making can be falsified. I could say something and you could show me why it's wrong, and then once you show me why it's wrong, I would have to change my mind. That's why it's a science. Everything I'm saying deals with the physical world and in reality.
Okay, but dealing with someone who is going 50 miles an hour in a 35 mile an hour zone, that's also dealing with something physical. You can physically cause harm to someone by going 50 miles an hour in a 35 mile an hour zone more than you would by obeying that speed limit.
Yes, but I don't know what your point is.
My point is that you're wrong.
Wrong about what?
Objectively.
I'm wrong about what?
These are totally separate things. There's
no
physical ramification.
Okay, you're misunderstanding what I'm saying again. Physics and chemistry are two separate sciences. But in the objective world, there's no difference between physics and chemistry. So even though humans have to break things down to understand them, in the real world, everything flows together. Non-physical and physical stuff flow hand in hand, one by the other. Okay, it's only separated when humans have to talk about each thing individually. Then we separate them. So I must separate them so that you know specifically what I'm talking about. So in order for you to know that I'm talking about Isaiah, I must separate him. Okay, doesn't mean he's not human. It doesn't mean he's separate from all humans. But in order to speak about him, I must separate him. So in order to speak about spirituality, I must separate it.
Okay, so Isaiah.
Hey, Justin, keep my name out your mouth, man.
You almost think you're talking to Kaz.
Hey, so let me see if I can, because I don't think you're completely talking on the same level right here, but okay, let me see if I can add something to this. All right. So what he's saying, Bob, is like, let's say you have math. Okay, math is 1 + 1 is going to equal 2, or 2 + 2 is going to equal 4, unless we're in 1984. Then it can mean whatever you need it to be. But so this is separate. What Justin is saying, this is separate because if we're going to talk about justice, for example, and you're talking about speeding, you can't take two things and say this and this are going to equal this judgment. You can't physically touch it. Now, obviously, it's going to affect the physical world, but you can't take this part and this part and say, oh, hey, look, I'm physically touching this thing with my hand. Is that right, Justin?
Yes, that's correct.
So I think did that clarify, Bub?
I think so. So let me make another point. Chemistry relies partially, at least, on math. Alex is taking chemistry classes. They can describe this better than me.
I hate it.
It relies on math. Alex hates math.
I hate it.
That's why they hate it.
I'm gonna kill every mathematician. I'm joking.
I'm not saying they're the same, but I'm saying they're related.
Well, yeah.
I'm not trying to equate one thing with another. Things are related to each other. So when you discuss physics or chemistry or ethics or philosophy, I'm not saying these things are exactly equivalent. I'm saying they're related to each other. And the way that ethics is related to how we behave in a society, if you speed and hit someone when you're going beyond the speed limit, you violate something else. Something else being a human.
I don't think he's saying that it doesn't have material effects. I think he's saying, please correct me if I'm wrong. Please, by all means. I think he's saying that, like, since we're talking about justice, I think earlier he said something along the lines of, yeah, it has material and physical ramifications, But in order to find out what is the justifiable response, it's mental, which to him, mental is also spiritual. Does that make sense?
I get it.
Hold on. Alex, would you mind replacing Mr. Bub right here? It sounds like you're getting this a lot faster than he was able to get it. Yeah,
Alex is the ethicist between the two of us. So
I'm
I'll let
sorry.
All right.
Am I sitting down?
That being said, Bub, I'm gonna give you a quick 5-10 minute break so you can spend a little bit of time with Alex, and I'll show you how the big guys do it. So I'm booting you. I'm dark docking you. I'm booting you off the stream. Okay, Rinel. So your website, what is it, IFA?
Afya, AFYA.
Okay,
It's a Swahili word.
Oh, what does it mean?
Love.
Oh, okay, so let me ask you something. I did visit the website, and I did see something about meditations and stuff. So can you tell me a little bit about what your idea of meditation is?
Well, my idea of meditation, so I would be meditating right now. And even despite the fact that I'm talking to you, because despite the fact that I'm talking to you, inside of my mind, I'm totally still and totally present.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I would describe as meditation. My mind doesn't wander off into the future or into the past, or I don't have a lot of cluttered thoughts in my mind. That's what I mean by being able to meditate, just being still and in the moment.
That's interesting, because one of the concepts of philosophy is that the past doesn't exist and the future don't exist. The only thing that actually exists is the present. And of course, the past and the future, they exist in our minds, but this is the only thing real right now. And you were talking a bit about focusing on the here and now. And I do want to share with you something that happened to me in Israel, just coming out right now in my third book. I'm releasing it on racism. But I was staying in Palestine, and actually, no, I wasn't in Palestine at this point. I was in the middle of the desert, and it's a place called Beersheba. But I went out into the desert, and I asked the guy who I was staying with, he told me something over there. There's something over there in several hours, and I didn't have any idea what direction it was. But I went out there, and there's just nothing but sand everywhere. And the only thing I had was 2 oranges and a bottle of water. And after I would say maybe 3 or 4 hours of not seeing anything or anyone, my mind naturally went into a meditative state where I had one of the greatest epiphanies of my entire life in this moment, because it wasn't being my mind wasn't being inundated with sounds and stimuli as it normally is. So that is one of the things whenever I have meditated, is to close my eyes and I'll put one of the things over my eyes, the eye patches and earplugs, because it helps to eliminate all stimuli for me. So do you do similar kinds of meditation like that? I'm curious.
No, my meditative state, or the state that my mind comes from my understanding of the universe. Because I understand how the universe works, my mind naturally adapts. So for example, if someone thought that the universe works randomly, anything could happen, their mind might be more cluttered with, oh my God, this possibility, that possibility. Because that the philosophy on how the universe works shapes their mental state.
Mm-hmm.
You get or for example, someone who believes that Jesus will protect them and they are in no harm because Jesus is their protector, their mental state is going to be better, because they're going to have more of a clear, more fearless mental state, because they truly believe that Jesus will protect them. So depending on what you believe, that changes your mental state.
Okay, I get that. And so you've never tried a sensory deprivation tank?
No. All of that stuff, it's not necessary for me, for my journey. It wasn't necessary. I'm not saying that it may not be necessary for other people, or that it might not be very helpful, but it wasn't necessary for my journey.
Well, how do you know it wouldn't be helpful to you, though?
Well, I'm already as still as you could possibly be. I can't become any stiller. I'm totally still in mind.
Yeah, but Justin, this is one of, I mean, you're criticizing religion, but then also you're doing and saying some of the exact same things that religion say, because you're saying I'm already arrived. I don't need to go any further. I don't need to look, because just in the same way as I was talking about the Bible and about how people will look to it and say, oh, I don't need to go anywhere else. I don't need to look at this. I don't need to examine that. I don't need to study X, Y, and Z. If you're saying, well, I'm already here, then you're kind of like, I would say, in my opinion, that you're stunting your growth right now, because I have done a sensory deprivation tank in America. And just do you even know what I'm talking about when I say sensory do you know what that is?
Yes, I've heard of it.
Okay. Yeah, so specifically the one I went to, they fill it with salt water, and then they heat the water to it's the same point of your body. So it literally just feels like you're floating on the water. Which actually interesting. You could actually do the same thing in the Dead Sea. There's pictures of like people reading the newspaper on the Dead Sea, because there's so much salt in the water. So nothing can live in there. That's why they call it the Dead Sea. But anyway, it's the same concept where you're like floating. You can even do it to where you like wear a mask and you can go into the water. And this girl I used to date, she was really into diving, and I didn't understand what she was telling me about. Now it makes more sense to me now that like you can get into a meditative state underwater because you don't have the sound. I think the sound is a bit of a problem, because when you're hearing sounds, your mind is thinking about those sounds, and so it's distracting. It's distracting from getting like an unfiltered view or unfiltered thinking process. So what do you think about that, what I'm saying?
Well, first of all, you have to remember, I am claiming to be an expert in my field. So some people,
Okay.
They study a field and they become really good at it. I became really good at what I'm doing. So when I'm saying things, it's not to be conceited when I say, well, I'm already at a level of stillness where this won't help me anymore. So I don't grow there in the way that you mean it, but I have 1,000 other things that I need to grow on. I make 1,000 other mistakes. I have like 1 million other flaws that I have to deal with. The one you're bringing up is just not one of them.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's to that. And again, like meditation in the way that you mean it is just a mental state. You don't have to do like the meditative things. You don't have to make noises. You don't have to sit in certain positions to be in that mental state. Anyone could be in that mental state depending on how they understand the universe works. Like I said, again, a Christian could be in that mental state. If that Christian truly believes that Jesus protects them and that they're going to be okay, that person is going to be in a Zen-like mental state. Okay, and they don't have to go to any sensory tanks. They don't have to go through any kind of training. As long as they believe that, they will be in a meditative, peaceful state of mind.
Have you ever done a guided meditation then? Let me ask you that.
No, I haven't.
I would definitely I have some if you're interested in. I can send you a few if you're interested. I would say this, Justin. It would behoove you not to at least try it. The sensory deprivation take, it accomplished in about 45 minutes, because your mind doesn't instantly go there.
Mm-hmm.
If you get into one of those things, it's not like you get in and like 5 minutes later you're like, oh yeah, I'm here. It takes at least a good 30. I don't know, for me, I could tell you for me personally, it took 30 to 40 minutes. And then also the other thing is, whenever I was out in the desert, because I could still see and I could still hear, it took about 3 hours to where I got to that mental state. And so the sensory deprivation is like, it's a bit of like a shortcut there. When I went to a Buddhist temple, to see how the Buddhists live, one of the Buddhist monks, he said I'd make a good monk, by the way, because of my hair. I think he'd make a good monk too.
Yeah.
But he told me that in preparation of doing something that he was trying to do, he bowed 10,000 times for like 3 months or something like that. And what, just so you know, in their bow, it's not like he just went like that, just down. it's like it's a 10-step process that takes like 15, 20 seconds, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You got to go down, you got to put up your hands, put it up, like it's not something you do very quickly. But anyway, it took the entire day. So for the entire day, for 3 months, all he was doing was bowing. And so that was a form of meditation for him, because it's just repetition. He wasn't thinking, eating, anything else like that, you know? So I think there's different ways people try to get to that. But why do you think it is that atheists disassociate the spiritual? Is it because they don't believe that you have like a spiritual side? They think it's just mind, or why is it that?
I'm sorry. I think what happens with a lot of atheists is that when they come out of religion, they throw the baby out with the bathwater. And like, so what I teach, because I consider myself a spiritual teacher and philosopher, what I teach people is how to get all of the mental states or all of the benefits from religion without any of the stories, without any of the beliefs, how anyone could achieve it without God or without any religion. That's what I teach people to do.
Without Jack and the Beanstalk.
Without Jack and the Beanstalk, yes.
All right. All right, I'm going to get Bub back in here. So I think, oh, here he is. All right. You refill it, you re-upping on beer, Bub? Bub? Bub, you there?
Sorry, I forgot to unmute myself.
Yeah. If anybody wants to experience God, I would say a few beers might help the process. If you have 10,
It'll definitely help.
You're going to be experiencing Satan. But if you have, if you have
I'm sorry. What did Jesus turn water into?
Exactly. But he was also moderate.
The answer.
Yeah, I think even if Jesus had 10 glasses of wine, I think that would have even put him down. But there can be a point where you take it too far, because I can tell you this as a former alcoholic. But on the same, on the same note, sorry, she distracted me. I like your red hair, by the way.
Thank you.
But I used to dye my hair red when I had it. Maybe all the chemical. Maybe the chemical seeps into my scalp, and that's what caused my baldness, or it could be genetics.
See,
I don't know.
See, I make that joke about my stupidity. It's all the hair dye and the bleach.
Makes sense.
I'm not gonna say a damn thing.
That's smart. I have a knife.
I'm not gonna say a damn thing.
Anyway, I forgot what I was saying now. I got distracted. Oh, yeah. No, I know.
I remember what you were
About
saying.
that.
I just like living. So I'm not gonna help you.
Right, but a few beers. I mean, I will say it's actually, alcohol and other drugs have been used to achieve the meditative state. Like Native Americans have done similar things with peyote. And I've talked to people who have done some of these other drugs down in there was one, it was like some cactus. This guy went down like South America to eat this cactus. He described a really intense experience that he had. But anyway,
I think that's
then there's also.
It's a type of ayahuasca.
Is that what it?
It's a type of it.
Yeah. I think that's what it was. Anyway, it was a really intense experience. But I think a few beers will help the process. But you're getting like 10, 20, then no, it's not going to help you at all. But you got any more thoughts for Rinel? You got any more questions?
I don't really have questions. I mean, all I'm going to say is, yeah, absolutely, you can be spiritual and be an atheist. I mean, there are how many atheistic religions out there? You've got the Church of Satan, which would be my personal preference. Shinto.
Satanic Temple is different. So there's another one.
No,
it's two different. No, they're two different.
I know, but the Satanic Temple, I think, worships.
Did I get them confused?
Yes, you did.
Oh, go fuck yourself.
Uh-huh. So, Church of Satan does not worship a Satan, which would be a demigod. Shinto, Jainism, The Japanese have a couple of different ancestor worship religions. They are non-theistic. I mean, when we're talking about these, it gets a little confusing, I'll admit, but I digress.
Rinel?
No. I mean, I think I explained everything clearly. If you guys have any more questions, or if you don't have any more questions, we can move on to the next topic.
No, I will. I'm just going to briefly talk about the problem of evil because it's not nearly as like a defeater as most people might think about religion. Because you quoted Isaiah, and that's something that as a Christian you have to take that into consideration into your theology. That God did create Satan. He did know this was going to happen, and he did it for a reason. So if you saw me pushing a child out in front of traffic, I think we would both agree that that would be immoral, correct?
Yes. I would think it's immoral, yes.
Right. But if you saw to the other side that child was about to get hit by a semi, and by pushing the child into traffic actually saved the child's life, you could see that doing something which would normally be considered immoral, if you add some extra context to it, actually makes sense. So vaporizing 100,000 people sounds like a horrible thing. But whenever you factor in that this calculation that was made in World War II actually saved lives, then you can understand doing something that most of the time would be considered immoral can have a more justified and moral benefit if you're given more information. So from our perspective, we might very well as a Christian say that this seems immoral on the surface. But the reality is that if we were given more information, we might have a different opinion. So to think that it's just an automatic defeater is actually it's a non sequitur, in my opinion. But
no, I don't think you understand. Respectfully, I don't think you understand the argument.
Actually, I do.
It's not. Well, no. It's that evil exists at all. That it exists at all is what can't be true. It can't be true that evil exists at all. If we're talking about that God. Earlier you started saying that you don't agree with the God in the way that I was describing it. So you and I are in total agreement. And you're right. You and I both agree that the God I was describing and the God I said is impossible to exist. You also believe that God is impossible to exist.
Right.
So you agree with my argument, and we're in total agreement.
Yeah. Okay. Then yeah. If that's the way you're defining it, I would say that because again, according to the Bible, God is the one who created evil. So
exactly.
It's not something that we need to Christians pretend like it's not there. Heck, I said it. Isaiah said it. You can quote me.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm just kidding.
For the 45th time, according to that particular verse.
Yeah. So Justin, can you tell me a little bit about your website and like what people can do there?
Well, people come to my website to join a community of people who create like a spiritual backing for one another. So it would have the same effect that any like religion does. I have a philosophy on how the universe works. I tell people how they could reach fulfillment, how they could find purpose in life, how they could have meaning in life. I do all of these things without any supernatural claims or any kind of like, you don't have to believe any stories or there are no like supernatural claims made, but you get all of the benefit of being in a religion, including a bad guy.
I think your next customer is going to be Mr. Bub. What do you think? Mr. Bub?
I mean, you know what? So, if you need a bad guy coming out of religion, go to Rinel, 100%. I'm not going to argue with that point. But
yeah,
I mean, if you come out of
by the way,
I did, come to me.
By the way, Bob, Justin does not. Those are not prescription glasses. Justin is wearing those to appear smarter. They're not like
are they working?
At least have prescriptions. Come on.
Hey, Justin, and I must say,
Oh, Rinel,
Justin,
I go by
must
Rinel.
say-
I go by Rinel. You're calling me
Oh,
Justin.
Right, sorry.
Yeah.
Rinel.
No
Hazel's
problem.
been saying Justin, so sorry.
Yeah.
Okay,
No
I'm sorry,
problem.
Rinel.
is, I at least have prescriptions. Rinel, I don't know what your thesis. You want to look smart, okay?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I do my
Rinel.
best.
Now, I gotta say they are definitely working. So
I
definitely
appreciate it.
They do help.
They were worth the investment.
it raises the IQ a few notches. So all right, well, let's just close off in the last thoughts. I think with this topic, I would say respectfully, you've disagreed with me, Justin. I would say definitely very respectfully, if you believe that you've arrived at this place in this place, I would respectfully say I don't think that you're even relatively close to understanding spirituality, honestly, in the fullest extent that you could. Because if you ever get to a point where you think I can't grow anymore in this area, you're going to be closed off to 1,000 other ideas that could possibly be out there. And I could tell you this as a Christian. In fact, just last night, I'm working on my book, and I'm writing about the Bod Hods. I can't really. It's just hard words, hard to pronounce. Do you know this word is like
Day of Christ?
No. It's a Buddhist concept. It's called the Bodhidharma, something like that. Anyway, what it is it's people who have gotten to a level that they can potentially reach nirvana and not need to be reborn anymore. And they choose not to attain that level because they want to keep being reborn so they can help people. And I wrote in my book, as a Christian, I look at that and I say, oh my mother of God, I can learn so much from this Buddhist who attains a level of enlightenment that's far beyond mine right now, because whenever I achieve enlightenment, I very frequently want to use that as a battering ramp to go after other people. And I just shows how far off I am from the enlightenment that I truly want to be at, to where I can receive it. And I could say, the only thing I want to do with this is raise the collective conscious of humanity and other sentient beings. And so as a Christian, I've learned from Buddhists, I've learned from Hindus, I've learned from Muslims. And so I think, Justin, I just tell you this because I know you. I've known you for the last couple of years. We've met up a couple of times in Korea. I would highly recommend that you reconsider that, because having an open mind and recognizing that you need to learn and grow is one of the most wonderful things you can do to your mind, because it opens up a world of possibilities. But yeah, you have anything to say to that?
Well, yeah. I think you totally misunderstand what I'm saying. That's why you. So if I didn't love knowledge and I didn't love growing, I couldn't reach the state of mind that I'm in right now. It took a lot of being wrong. It took a lifetime of being wrong and having to correct myself in order to get to this. This is a lifetime of work and of working on myself that I have now achieved a certain state of mind. And what I'm saying that I can't.
Hold on, Justin. I hate to interrupt, but look at this here. This is the guy we talked to. Actually, Adam, and I went and met him in the UK in December. I went and actually met him. So he's saying hi right here. That's him.
That's cool. But I also wanted to say that, so the reason, Isaiah, the reason why you're incorrect is because when I'm saying that I'm fulfilled, I'm saying that I have a certain state of mind. If someone feels safe, they either feel safe or they don't feel safe. What Isaiah is saying, no, but try to feel safer. Try to feel safer. If someone could feel totally safe and they can't feel any more safe. I'm at total peace and I can't be at any more peace. Do you see what I'm saying? Like there's a totality of it. Someone could feel totally safe. Someone could be in total fear where they just can't experience any more fear. I mean, there are limits to mental states, and someone could be totally in one mental state. So I think you're incorrect that you could constantly grow, not in the way I mean it. You might have some different meaning, and based on what you mean by it, maybe I can grow in some different definition. But by the definition I'm using, Being at peace is like feeling safe. I mean, if you feel totally safe, then you can't feel safer.
That's you could always be safer. Obviously, you could get, if you're not safe enough, you get a Rottweiler. If you're not right, you don't want to get a Rottweiler, you get an AK-47. Put that thing underneath your pillow. So
okay,
yeah.
So but someone, no. I mean, you're saying that you could do more things for safety. Yes, you could do an infinite amount of things for safety. But someone can feel totally safe. Someone could feel 100% totally safe and sleep like a baby because they feel totally safe, and they can't feel any more safe. I mean, that goes on all the time. Different religious beliefs make people feel totally safe, where they just can't feel any safer. They feel like God has their back. They feel like Jesus will come protect them, and they feel totally safe. And just like they feel totally safe, I feel totally at peace. So I can't feel any more at peace. Like they can't feel any more safe.
Okay, Bob, you got any last thoughts?
I could feel safer. I could feel more at peace.
Well, then you should work on that. You should work on that, on those mental conditions.
And I am, because it's an ongoing process.
For you.
Until I never said it was for anyone else. But for me, it's an ongoing process, and I will feel safer and more at peace when I'm with my fiance in Germany after we get there. I will feel more safe and at peace after I've died of natural causes, because there's nothing else that can harm me. But as far as saying that I'm totally at peace, I don't feel like I'll ever be there. And I kind of worry for people who say they're there. Because it feels kind of like they're saying they can't grow more.
Well, that's false. I kind of.
Justin, is that right?
Like, not for
No.
Justin, did I get your website right?
No, it's Afya Healing. AFYA.
Oh God, I totally butchered that. Hold on.
It's actually healing.com.org.
I put the proper link in the description. So but okay, let's say that again. Let's say that again.
AF.
Two F's?
AF. No, one F. AFYA. Healing.org.
Okay, God, oh my God, I butchered that on so many different levels. Healing.org. Oh my God, I'm sorry about that. But okay, I'm sorry, I interrupted one of you, so keep going.
What? I guess. What I just wanted to say to the audience listening, if anyone could understand what I'm saying, it took me many years of very hard work to get to the level that I'm at. You can get to a level of peace if you work hard enough for many years. You can reach a level where you feel at peace and you feel content with yourself. It is possible, despite what other people may say. I'm an example of how you can do it with hard work. You can feel at peace and you can feel good inside all of the time. You can work on that mental state and you can get there.
Okay. That's good. Sorry, Rinel. I want to thank you for your time. I do have one last question for you before we go out. You ready for this one?
Absolutely.
Try to answer this one as quickly as possible. But is atheism a cult? That's what I want to know today.
It can be.
It can be.
It definitely is for millions of people. That's why Neil deGrasse Tyson says he's not an atheist. He doesn't want to be part of that cult.
So it can be. It can be if it's abused.
Well, yeah, religious people leave religion and then bring their religion into atheism. So you have religious fanatics in atheism, like you do in religious cults. I mean, it's atheism. Atheism's made up of people, like anything else. So people make mistakes, and so atheists become very cult-like, just like they're just susceptible to it, like anyone's susceptible to it.
Yeah, you know what? And I do want to close off here. I will take the last word here, because Justin did actually write a book called "The Curious Cult of Atheism," which I thought was a very enlightening book. But I do want to close off in saying this, because I just was researching last night this, but it's called Bod Hot Pizza, something like that. But their concept of being like that, I literally said last night in my book, I said, if that is not like an embodiment of Christ, of what I should be striving for, I said, I don't know what is. Like, this is a perfect example of what they're striving after. They're striving after to have empathetic joy. And empathy is a big part of the podcast, but it says that empathetic joy, that means to be happy with someone else, to feel pain and suffering that they're feeling. Like right now, Bub is going through something he mentioned briefly with his spouse about wanting to go to Germany and about feeling safe there. I, as an empathetic person, want to understand that journey and try to aid on that journey as much as possible. Although it doesn't
discuss that with you after the stream.
Although it doesn't, we will if you stick around. Although that doesn't specifically affect me because I am a cisgender male. I don't understand the journey that his fiance is on. But the fact that I can try to take time to learn about the journey, I think is something I've wanted to do with this podcast. And I think it's something as Christians, as atheists, as whatever the heck you want to believe in, you want to believe in a toad, I believe that we can all do a better job at that. And so I enjoy this podcast. That's why at the beginning it got a little bit heated. I'm like, hey, let's try to have a good time in here. Let's make fun of ourselves. And I made fun of you guys quite a bit, but so apologize there. But that's just the idea. Is like, look, we're here, we're learning. Let's try to help each other. Let's try to go together. And by the way, I just want to show you something real quick, Justin. This is me meeting atheists online.
Good day, mate.
Just take a quick look.
Hey, how you doing, sir? Good to see you. Good to see you. All right, here we go. Make a little video for YouTube.
Hey, mate. Hey, good to see you. Oh my God. These girls have me speak around you.
Hello.
Well, you're shorter than I thought, man. Hey, thank you guys. See you, my man. With you, man. See you, buddy. Yeah. We'll do that, man. Good to see you. We'll do that. Good to see you. Hey, thank you.
So we got to, Justin, I'm sorry, Justin, Rinel, Adam and I got to spend like an early Christmas time together, and we exchanged gifts, and he's an atheist and I'm a Christian, and he invited me into the hospital. And I got to say, that's one of the most beautiful moments I've ever experienced as a human being, was him saying, Isaiah, can you take my daughter in and I'll follow in right behind you? That he trusted me at that level, and we had that level of mutual respect and trust. So I do want to close off with that. And here's the outro. Again, thank you guys both for coming. And here we go. Outro.
Are we all good?